So today we're going to have a personal in-depth interview with Corey from Prepared to Thrive, and we will learn some stuff about him that you just won't learn from watching his videos. Right after the channel intro.
Welcome to this community. I'm an avid prepper and oath keeper, and I'm certified to teach firearms and the use of deadly force. If you want to learn actual prepping skills and how to protect yourself legally, then please subscribe and also click the bell icon so you won't miss whenever a video is released.
Hey Corey, real super fast before we get into the interview, gotta say I really enjoy your channel, and I like your style of videos, how they're very short and really to the point. It's not unusual for you to release multiple short videos a week, and sometimes even multiple videos just in one day. And I also really like how your channel covers just such a broad range of prepping information, all the way from, you know, a good colloidal silver that a prepper could buy, all the way up to the real true SHTF experience that you experienced while you were down in Puerto Rico after the big hurricane down there. So let's get on with the questioning. In past interview videos I've brought up where what the catalyst that got me prepping was the whole Y2K thing and then being dispatched on a riot. So we'd like to hear from you. Did anything happen in your life that caused you to start prepping? Or did it just come naturally to you? But what caused you to become, to want to be more prepared for the things that life can throw at us?
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to be on your channel and to do this interview. I'm really excited about it, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about some things that I probably wouldn't normally talk about in my own channel. So I really appreciate this. So what caused me to have a preparedness mindset? As a child, I was in Cub Scouts and later Boy Scouts, and their motto is be prepared. So even as a very young age, I kind of had that, you know, in the back of my mind. I remember having conversations with my dad, and he would tell me that, you know, you need to appreciate what you have and don't take things for granted. And I remember one conversation in particular, he was telling me, you know, even appreciate and don't take for granted, you know, the fact that you turn the light switch on and the lights go on. So that just kind of another seed that was planted. Years later, I lived in the Northwest, and a huge storm came through, bigger than your typical storm in the Northwest. And it took out the two roads that went in and out of town. A lot of trees fell down, so they just weren't passable. And at the same time, we didn't have electricity for, I think it was 7 to 10 days. And that got the gears turning a little bit. Still not fully there, but it was planting seeds. It wasn't until later, when we lived on an isolated island in the Caribbean, that I started thinking about how vulnerable we were down there, and just to the elements. I mean, we lived in Hurricane Alley. So I started thinking about what's the single point of failure with this place, and it was the water. We were 100% dependent on a desalination plant to produce clean water for us, and that again got the gears turning for me a little bit. So while we were down there in that isolated island in the Caribbean, started focusing on health, and during that I researched a lot of things, and one of the websites I came across was naturalnews.com. And naturalnews.com, not doing a shameless plug here, but I love that website. It's a great resource for natural health, but they also talk about preparedness, and I was thinking, well, why do they talk about preparedness on a health channel? But when you think about it, preparedness is being healthy. And the two go hand in hand. It's our number one prep, our health. So that was the series of things that led me to a preparedness mindset. And wasn't just one major event, but just little dots and lines that were connected. So I appreciate the question.
Okay, question number 2. Tell us a little bit more about your background. What did you do when you were younger? What has transformed you into the person that you were, into the man that you are today? How did you meet your wife? Just tell us a little bit more about you.
All right, so a little bit about my background and what I did when I was younger. I rode my bicycle everywhere. All I remember growing up was just riding my bicycle. Anywhere I wanted to go, I'd ride it. In fact, I even rode it to the next town a couple of times. Another thing I did was I was active in Boy Scouts, or Cub Scouts, and later Boy Scouts, and even was able to hike Philmont, New Mexico, which is a huge scout ranch. We did that for, I want to say it was a week or 10 days. And if it was a week, it felt like 10 days because it was extremely challenging. And I remember we even kind of exaggerated my age by about 6 months. I was about 6 months shy of the minimum age. And so it was extra challenging for myself and everybody else included. So note to self, looking back actually, it was kind of like a bug out scenario where you put everything on your back and you just walk out onto the trail. So note to self with that is, if you're going to bug out, ride a bicycle. It'll get you where you need to go. So growing up, I had everything I needed, but everything I wanted, I had to earn it. So I remember getting my work permit as early as I could. I think it was 11 at the time. Had a paper route, did a lot of other things. And that developed a really good work ethic for me. And that work ethic rolled over to my desire for health and fitness, and I started working out, and I worked out very impressive with my work ethic with working out. And about a year after working out, I said, you know, I'm going to lift a world record. And here I am, some skinny little kid, a good luck kid. But with that work ethic, I actually was able to compete with powerlifting at a world-class level, where I was able to compete on the East Coast and West Coast, and was even able to travel to Eastern Europe and Africa as well. So long story short, I did break that world record, and it's just a testament of how, if you want something and you try hard enough, you can do it. So how did I meet my wife? Great question. She's actually filming this right now, making faces at me. Pure luck. We were both living in Hawaii at the time, and it was a love at first sight. And I'm gonna make eye contact with her right now, and she's still making faces at me. It was like meeting someone I knew in a previous life. Like, I know this person, and she's still making faces at me. So I met my wife. We were both out in Hawaii, living in Hawaii, and it's best streak of luck I've ever had in my life. So I love you, baby. Next question.
Okay, question number 3. I've never been one of those preppers that have focused only on one thing that I believe will cause SHTF, and so therefore that's what I'm going to prepare for. And like a lot of preppers, I try to be as well-rounded with my prepping as possible. But I used to really believe that a economic collapse was probably going to be the thing that would bring on SHTF. But now with everything that's going on, you know, it makes me wonder now, would it be nuclear war, or, you know, we're really overdue for a pandemic? And I know that we can only speculate what will cause SHTF, but I'd like to find out from you, what are your biggest concerns? What do you think has the highest likelihood of bringing on SHTF?
Great question. And so what is the event that has the highest likelihood of SHTF? I think let's start real small scale and personal SHTF, because I think personal SHTF is the most likely scenario to happen, whether it's loss of employment, loss of a loved one, name it on a personal scale, and I think those are the most likely to happen, just to prepare for daily life. But as far as a big event, I think, and well, you could argue successfully that we are in a financial SHTF event right now, and have been ever since, what was it, 1913, when with the creation of the Federal Reserve, and the loss of our purchasing power that ever since then. And we've seen it in our own lives within just the last couple of years. The price of groceries has gone up immensely. But as far as a single event, I think the petrodollar is on its last leg, And when the petrodollar shifts over to the petro yuan or whatever takes its place, we're going to feel it. And that purchasing power, that little bit of purchasing power that we have right now, it's going to be even smaller. We're going to feel that. We could feel that overnight. So that's a big one. But none of those scenarios, and we could talk about a bunch of others, none of those keep me up at night. I don't see preparedness with a lens of fear. I see it as with empowerment. But things I do keep in mind when I do prep is I prep for chaos, social unrest, and disruptions to the supply chain. And I think if you do that, you really can't go wrong. And by chaos, I mean just a lack of information or disinformation. Everything's just chaotic. And I saw that first thing in Puerto Rico. There was so much misinformation and disinformation and no information at all that you've got to be mentally prepared for that and have a way to communicate and get good comms. Social unrest. That's a big one. You need to be able to defend yourself or stay away from all that social unrest to begin with. To go back to Puerto Rico for a second, I didn't see any social unrest, and I was actually expecting it and almost didn't even want to go down there and almost turned down that opportunity to go down there. But I'm glad I didn't because of my fear and concerns with social unrest. I didn't see any at all, surprisingly, but I did hear stories of little pockets of that, and they mostly revolved around resources and like food or ATM machines, the very few that were open, and disruptions to the supply chain. If you're prepping for disruptions to the supply chain, you can't go wrong. And I think in a sense we're all prepping for that. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, next question. Why don't you please tell us something that would surprise us about you, something that people just wouldn't know about you just from watching your channel.
So a little bit about my background and things you might not know about me. I'm a huge Goonies fan. I actually don't have this written down, but I'm a huge Goonies fan. And there's so much that I want to tell you about my background. If you've seen the Goonies, you remember the interview that they had with Chunk when they captured him and he spilled his guts and he told them everything. I want to tell you everything, but for operational security, I won't tell you everything. But I will say that I do have a military background, and I've been an employee of the federal government for the last 20 years. During that time, I've moved 9 times, and I've had the opportunity to live on both the East Coast, the West Coast, up and down the West Coast, and as far as the East Coast goes, primarily in the Southeast. I've also been able to live in a very isolated island in the Caribbean twice, as well as Hawaii. And just been very blessed with being able to visit, not only live a lot of places, but to visit a lot of places during that time. Many islands in the Caribbean and several countries in South America and Central America. So other things that you're just never going to know about me just watching my videos is that I didn't get my license until I was 18. And it wasn't because I was lazy or I couldn't pass the test. I simply rode my bike everywhere I wanted to go, and it got me where I needed to go. And oftentimes that was close to 20 miles away, but I'd ride my bike. And yeah, you'll never know that by watching my channel. Let's see, I don't drink. It's not that I have any issues with drinking. I just don't like the taste of alcohol, beer or wine or liquor. I just don't. Nothing against it, but it's just not my thing. I don't know why, but I've got it written down, so I'll share it with you. I was born with a hole in my lung. They had to rush me into surgery right after I was born. Again, you'll never know that by watching my channel. Very few people even know that kind of stuff. And let's see, I absolutely value health and freedom, and you probably picked up that a little bit on my channel, but you may not know about this, and that's I refuse to eat and drink poison. All of the water that we have at the house, we filter it with the big Berkey, with the fluoride attachments. We filter everything. call me crazy, but you know, the folks up in where was it? I want to say Flint, Michigan, but somewhere up in Michigan that were drinking lead for years and years and years, they didn't know it. Well, for all I know, there's lead in the water here at those same high levels, but we filter it to be prepared because I value health and I value freedom. And health freedom go hand in hand. If you're healthy, you're free. You're free to live a wonderful life and do all the things that you want to do. Another thing is I eat nearly 100% organic and haven't consumed GMOs for 8 years, maybe 8 years. And I'm proud to say that. I really am. You know, a lot of people, if they think that's crazy, but again, I value health and I value freedom.
Okay, next question. So several years ago, I had somebody take some wild shots at me while I was on a traffic stop. We never found the person. They just took some wild shots at me from a nearby house or from behind a nearby house or something like that. So we'd like to find out from you, what's been the most dangerous situation that you have ever been in?
I don't have any really cool stories with this, but I do have a couple stories to share with you. I think the most dangerous situation that we all are in every single day is getting behind the wheel, especially these days when people are distracted with cell phones. I really believe that is the most dangerous thing we do on a daily basis. So drive careful, put your phones down. But that revolves around a loss of situational awareness. As people are driving around, they're not paying attention, they're paying attention to their phones. My stories revolve around a loss of situational awareness as well, but they involve two wheels. Real quick story. Literally saw my life flash before my eyes. I was out in Hawaii. I was on an enduro motorcycle, street legal dirt bike essentially, and just said, you know what, I'm going to ride as far as I can ride on this road. And I got on the highway and rode and rode and rode. Highway turned into just a regular street. The regular street turned into a dirt road. That dirt road turned into a trail. And before I know it, I'm on the side of a cliff, literally sweating it. I look down, I can't go any further, and I'm looking straight down at a cliff, and I saw two things. Myself falling off that bike that was a little too tall for me to begin with it down the cliff, or me ditching the bike and walking back. And then I was able to just calm down, stop sweating it, get off the bike, and back it up. I don't even remember getting off the bike. I don't even remember backing it up off that trail. But I remember being extremely terrified that, hey, this is it. I'm done. That was probably the most fearful thing I've ever had that involved my life. Another one, and I almost don't even want to share this story because I don't want to incriminate myself, but I will share a little bit, and that involves a different motorcycle, a 1000cc sport bike that I do not miss riding at all, exceeding the speed limit. I'll just say that. Again, I'll just say that. So I appreciate this opportunity and really thank you for this opportunity. It's been a great interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'd like to thank our camera person, Mrs. Prepared to Thrive. Thank you.
Anyways, folks, I hope you really enjoyed this interview with Corey from Prepared to Thrive. And if you haven't already subscribed to his channel, a link to his channel should be appearing in the upper right-hand corner of the screen just about now. You won't be disappointed. I really enjoy his channel. And folks, I'll be doing more interviews like this in the near future, so hey, stay tuned. Anyways, folks, hey, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.